wena ngemkhombo wena ngakangwani ngani ilanga lapho mayitsheni lapha kaNkosikazi ingabi sakhona sakhona awuhlali phasi sabathi inkulu ithole isoko esayina
Nilibonga silenhle sinimukele eDubai evanle United Arab Emirates lapho khona imbubi emhlaba lomuhla ihlengene nabo sondonzima babosomabhizinisi lapha edolobheni eDubai kwathize ukuthi leli dolobha lelithuthukile ikakhulukazi kutemnotho kanye nasehlangothini letebuchwepheshe. Nilibonga silenhle ke lomuhla njengoba sidlala imbubi emhlaba ihlangene nabo bosomabhizinisi livele Eswatini litabel khangisa ngetinhlangothi letehlukene lebosomabhizinisi bangeta even Eswatini baye kuyawutshala dona imali leto tinhlangothi phinde futhi Mswati amahle sitaphinde sibone lona libhube siselivele libhodla khona lapha lamhla kwatise nilibonga silenhle ukuthi kusifiso sawo emakhosi kubona bosomabhizinisi batheleka ngebuningi babo baya even Eswatini baya kuyawutshala imali asesivele singene ngekhathi nilibonga silenhle njengoba nango umsebenzisi uqala sibone ukuthi ingabe leSwatini namhla likhangisa lithini nabo somabhizinisi basiphatheleni emva ekhaya eSwatini lamhla ke kutaqala yona indvuna yemabhizinisi isichazele kabandi ngengcikithi yalo langa la namuhla nenembongo silenhle
Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome you to this investment seminar where the Kingdom of Eswatini, under His Majesty's leadership, will be presenting opportunities for investment in the kingdom. Your Majesty, we have a program that is very interesting and we will go right into the program without further ado. And the program itself will also include testimonials from UAE-based companies that are doing business in Eswatini so that they can also share their experience for the benefit of the guests that we have here today. As we commence the program, it is my honor and privilege, Your Majesty, to invite a representative of the business community in the UAE, who is the global CEO of Royal Jet, His Excellency Mohammed Hussein, to do his welcoming remarks, Your Majesty.
Your Majesty, allow me to pass His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Hamad regards, and thank you for allowing me to have this small words, but it's coming from the heart. I think we established our relationship with Eswatini for the past 10 years plus. As a Royal Jet, we are very committed to grow our businesses in this region, and we are looking to have Eswatini the hub of the aviation sector. There is a lot of businesses and there is a lot of things that we can bring to the table. And I think, and I believe, that the support that we are getting from Your Majesty, we will help and improve the business jet traffic in this region. As a Royal Jet, we have a fleet of 14 aircraft plus. We are managing more than 5 aircrafts owner, fleets of 13 BBG 737 private jets. We are the biggest BBG operating company in the world. We are operating also 787, Gulfstream and Globals. We started to engage with the OEMs and to provide training, cabin crew trainings in this area. With the blessing of Your Majesty, we will base more than 2 aircrafts, inshallah, in Eswatini, which will help the whole region. So I'm glad that we will now go to the next step or phase 2 of this business relationship with Eswatini. In the near future, we are going to visit Eswatini and with some of our other investors from Abu Dhabi aviation sector. We will talk about aircraft maintenance, training, spare parts support, VIP chartering, FBO and lounges. Also, we will try to share with you the experience that we have in the aviation sector. We've been helped and supported by a lot of our colleagues' countries in the past 20 years. And I think now we are glided to pass this know-how, to share our, because we have a story to tell. I'm looking forward to see the other investors, our Emiratis colleagues, and our the businessmen that we are honored that we have you in UAE. So what I can say to you that go ahead, invest in Eswatini. There is a lot of opportunities. We tried it before, and we are, we are sad that we did not start it 15 or 20 years ago. So I think it's the right time right now, with the support that we are getting from His Majesty and his leadership and opening to this business that we are getting from him. So thank you, Elliot, Your Majesty, and thank you, your honorable attendees, for allowing me to appear in front of you. Thank you, sir.
Your Majesty, before I invite the CEO of Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority to make his presentation, we shall see a brief video that encapsulates what Eswatini is all about and what the investment opportunities are, and then the CEO will step up and make his presentation. Bayete, Wemaparat.
The Kingdom of Eswatini, formerly known as Swaziland, is open for business. The country's economy is driven by the private sector, and this has repositioned Eswatini as a unique and ideal place for trade and investment. APA offers pre- and post-investment services and advocacy. To fast-track Eswatini's competitiveness in the global arena, the nation is implementing effective policies that will transform the trade and investment climate and turn growth from small steps to giant leaps. Although Eswatini is perceived as a small market, through regional integration, we have become a significant and active trade pivot. We have access to several preferential markets such as SACU, SADC, COMESA, EU, EFTA, Taiwan Eswatini ECA, and AGOA. Our advancing infrastructure will accelerate the growth of your next investment opportunity. Eswatini caters for various industries like agriculture, which has traditionally been the backbone of our economy, mining and energy, education, ICT, manufacturing, tourism, and many more. To reduce the cost of doing business, the nation's government has set in place special incentives for investors, such as development approval orders, initial allowances, repatriation of profits, With all the right mechanisms in place, Eswatini has special economic zones to bolster economic development so you can hit the ground running at 0% corporate tax for 20 years. The country also has a high literacy rate, with a population that has abundant skills as well as an educated and trainable workforce. Eswatini boasts one of the richest cultures in the world and is renowned for its unique traditional cultural dances and events. These beautiful and colorful events are so attractive that tourists from around the world flock to the kingdom yearly. We are also the hub for many healthy foods and traditional cuisines. A special country to live in with low crime rates and the low incidence of deadly diseases. All these positive factors epitomize Eswatini's health and safety climate. Choose Eswatini to grow your business today. For more information on how you can access opportunities to grow your business, contact the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority.
I'll be speaking to you today about the investment opportunities available in Eswatini. You will have seen on the video the different markets that we have available in Eswatini in terms of where goods and products can be sold without attracting high tariffs. And that's one of the advantages of doing business in Eswatini. We may be a population of 1.2 million people, but effectively you're speaking to a population of over 1 billion on the continent. We have real GDP growth in terms of the economy of 7.9%. This is one of the highest growth rates in the Southern Africa region. So when you look at why investors want to invest in Eswatini, it's because it is the optimal place from which to do business. We have a high literacy rate of 89%, one of the leading literacy rates on the continent. And that is another reason why investors have identified Eswatini as a place in which to do business. We do have ministers here today, and they will be able to answer some of the questions in terms of specific sectors in which you may have an interest. We also have one of the lowest GDP debt to GDP ratios in the region of approximately 40%. So at a glance, this is a pretty low inflation rate when you consider what some of the inflation rates are globally at this time. Why Eswatini? Why would you want to move your business to trade in Eswatini? It's probably not a country that you've heard of very much. But you'll see at the end of this presentation, and you'll have seen pictures of some of the global businesses we have in the kingdom. Why invest in Eswatini? Why trade from Eswatini? Because we are close to some of the key ports in the region. We are just 180 kilometers away from Maputo. We are 400 kilometers away from Johannesburg and 350 kilometers away from Richards Bay and Durban. So these are the key ports in the area which most of the countries use in which to source goods and products. So we have certain priority sectors in the kingdom that we've identified as levers and catalysts for economic growth. And our National Development Plan, we call it the Strategic Roadmap. It speaks to priority areas in agriculture, manufacturing and agro-processing, education and ICT, tourism, energy, and mining. Today, we'll give you a snapshot of just 6 of the projects we have available. This is not the totality of them. We have an investment pipeline that is pretty long, but we've just brought 6 of these opportunities to showcase to you some of the opportunities that are available in Eswatini. We'll kick off with mining. We'll speak of a rail project as well, which is driven by the commodity growth. We're seeing the growth in commodity prices related to mining. We will speak about renewable energy projects and what our needs are as the kingdom, but also opportunities to export power into the region. And then we'll look at tourism. The reason many people fly and come and learn about Eswatini is because they're in the region and they just want to see this kingdom that they've heard about. And by being there, the business opportunities then present themselves. We'll speak a bit about that. And lastly, you'll have heard that agriculture is the backbone of our economy. We'll speak about some opportunities there. And the last one will be an affordable housing project on the back of a significant agricultural project that we're doing. So when it comes to mining, recently we've done an exercise in the kingdom where we've just gone and looked at, notwithstanding the commodities we already knew were available, but we've gone and used technology with the modern technology that is available to see whether there continue to be deposits that have not been exploited in the kingdom. And the recent study we've done has identified additional deposits in gold, diamond, iron ore, and PGM metals. We see this as an exciting opportunity for investors to come and have a conversation around exploiting these. In the recent past, several prospecting licenses have been granted, and we are in the process of moving beyond prospecting to actual mining of those opportunities. And we also see an opportunity for the manufacture of steel in the kingdom. Using coal and iron ore resources that we have, we believe a number of products, including steel products, could be developed. When you look to the commodities we have available, it's really an exciting time, but what we are desiring as a kingdom is to actually see beneficiation take place in the kingdom, and we'll speak more about that as we go along. One of the opportunities we will start off with is a rail opportunity. You'll see on the slide the area there. It's about 150 kilometers on our existing railway lines in the kingdom, which moves goods and products into neighboring South Africa. That 150 kilometer line is what we are speaking about when we speak of the Eswatini rail link. This is an opportunity for investors to come and participate in this project. It's exciting because currently, when you look at the volumes we're transporting on the railway line, we're moving between 6 and 8 million tons, but this line is developed to move 12 million tons of cargo. It was exciting to hear the CEO from Airjet speak about the air cargo opportunity. So we do have the cargo available in the region, not just belonging to Eswatini, but our neighbors are unable to get products and goods out on time. So to know that there's an opportunity to be a hub in Eswatini for air is certainly something that is exciting for us to look at. And South Africa is looking at this partnership with Eswatini because they've got guaranteed volumes that they are currently not able to move. All Eswatini has to do is to provide the funding and to manage this project. So it's an exciting opportunity. We also have an inland container depot where goods are going to be cleared and received in the kingdom. And there's another opportunity there around building the infrastructure for that. So a feasibility study has been done on the rail link project, and it's one of the key rail projects being marketed and advertised in the region. And as we've also commenced the process around the container depot that we spoke about. People are being resettled, homesteads in this area, because the project is on the go. Right now in the region, Southern Africa region, there's a clog. We're not able to get goods and products out on time to markets overseas. So when you look at the return, what return would you make as an investor? In these difficult economic times, it's difficult to get a rate of return higher than 10% in most projects. This has been costed. We've had involvement of the African Development Bank and other entities just looking at what a project of this nature would return. And when we look at similar projects, the estimate is that it would return in the region of approximately 15%. So this is a go for us. Currently, it is being marketed and it's being advertised in terms of expressions of interest. And we would hope that some Emirati companies see this as an opportunity. The projects we'll be speaking about today are SDG related. What do we mean by that? They advance the Sustainable Development Goals. It's difficult to raise funding in this economic climate for opportunities that are outside of, the SDGs. And when we look at all the projects we'll be presenting to you this morning, they do speak to advancement of the Sustainable Development Goals, as you see on the slide before you. And this is really about a partnership between government and the private sector. Government is not able to leverage these opportunities on our own. We need the private sector to participate, and that's the opportunity. So land would be provided for the private sector to come in and invest, on this project, and there are other forms of partnership available. This is strategically located next to one of the two special economic zones we have, being the airport, King Mswati, the third international airport. Speaking energy, which is one of our priority areas, we currently consume approximately 260 megawatts in the kingdom. That's our total energy consumption. We tend to round it up to say 300 megawatts. But we have a short-term need of an additional 240 megawatts. And we'll speak to what some of the opportunities are that are available there. Currently, we export approximately 80% of our power from South Africa, and we produce about 20% approximately hydro and solar. We realized that the sustainability in terms of our own projects for the kingdom, we need to have energy security. We have an agreement regarding the imported energy that runs out in 2025 with South Africa, and we want to be in a position to generate our own power needs and possibly export to countries in the region. So this is just a list of some of the projects we have going on in terms of IPPs to get you to the 260 megawatts that we would be needing to take us beyond where we currently are in the kingdom, because I've said we see ourselves in the short term having a need of at least 500 megawatts. And these span across biomass, solar, hydro, to get to the 500 megawatts. When you look at the project cost, we're looking at about $684 million US in total, and it's got a rate of return of approximately 10% again, with a payback period of 14 years. We've seen a lot of interest in energy, renewable energy, from investors globally, but we have run a process around the type of IPPs we want, and we are keen on furthering those discussions. Again, when you look at what the major outcome is for us on the kingdom, it's about energy security. We do not want to depend on anyone for power supply because our energy needs, because the pipeline of projects that we have requires that. And in addition, it will create employment opportunities. Tourism. It takes a long flight to get to Eswatini, so why would you fly all the way there? For an experience that you need to give yourself, you deserve to give yourself. Eswatini was rated by Lonely Planet in 2020 as being one of the top 10 tourism destinations globally. So what do we have available when you speak tourism? We've got an African Continental Free Trade Agreement that is at various stages of implementation. What this means is that heads of state and different entities that fall under the African Union, they go to different countries from time to time, and we are seeking to have the capacity and capability to host global delegations and regional and African delegations. And in order to do that, we need to have the facilities to be able to house our visitors and guests. In the slide before you, you see a project on the 5-star hotel that has been built in Eswatini, an exciting development and really modern, a modern project in terms of the look, the design, and feel. And on the right of the slide, you see there a development project around villas that we want to extend. So this would complement the 5-star hotel. The 5-star hotel, we're looking currently for an operator. It has 250 beds, and we're looking for somebody to construct villas. Why villas in addition to the hotel? Because when we've housed heads of state, they've tended to love the villas. And the villas that we currently have and have built, we find them fully utilized whenever we have regional events. So the desire is to construct more, to be able to house more VIPs when we have events of this nature. Again, it will have an exhibition hall, a multi-purpose hall, and this really positions Eswatini to host some of the larger regional events. So where are we? The work has been done, the structure has been built, as you see it there. You see the hotel, you see the International Convention Center, and where we are really now is to look for an operator. We are looking for an established brand, a global entity who can actually take His Majesty's vision regarding positioning Eswatini to host international events to the next level and to actually get it implemented. So when you look at the estimated project cost, we're looking at over $200 million US. And we are open to different funding mechanisms to complete these projects. But when you look at the impact it would have in terms of the jobs, we've got in the region a challenge of youth unemployment. Youth unemployment is high, probably lower in Eswatini than some of our neighbors, but it's a regional challenge of high youth unemployment. So this project would create jobs and contribute to the GDP of the country, boosting our tourism. There's another project which speaks to game and wildlife. It's called the Big 5 National Park. It's currently a project. Again, one of His Majesty's projects, a vision that His Majesty has had, and this would involve consolidating 4 existing game parks into one huge national park. Interestingly enough, we had elephants roaming into Eswatini this year from one of the neighboring countries, and they spent a few days and continued to move out. So the region does have game and wildlife. So what we're wanting to do is to ensure that we create a platform or an environment in a controlled manner where we can have the Big 5, but without putting neighboring communities in danger. We have available over 80,000 hectares of land for this. This is an exciting project. This is the kind of project where we know international tourists come, they fly around the world, they go to these game parks to get the experience of wildlife which they may not have in their own countries. And again, this is an opportunity we're looking to exploit. We estimate the project cost would be in the region of 100 million. And we are looking for, skill sets around technical expertise and capabilities to make this project take off. We are also known for having, apart from wildlife, a high number of birds in the region, and the ecological species, some of which are no longer, have been extinct in our region. We're looking to reintroduce those. And those are just some of the animals you could expect to see, many of which we already have in the kingdom, but we want to do this in a manner that is significant and large. And these are the existing game parks we'd be looking to consolidate. You can see the available land. We're speaking 80,000 hectares, and it's in that region of the kingdom. Again, this is an SDG compliant related project, so when you're looking for funding as a private sector entity, it should not be difficult to secure it because it speaks to promotion of the following SDGs on climate change, life on land, and decent work and economic growth. We're very excited about this project. So we spoke earlier about our needs and requirements on this particular project. It's technical expertise. We want to appoint a consultant. And again, we would look at various funding options for this. Manufacturing and agro-processing. This is another key element we've seen to identify to be able to secure economic growth in the kingdom. Eswatini, when you look at the region of Southern Africa, has outperformed its neighbors, many of which have higher deposits in terms of minerals. We have a manufacturing value added in 2021, as identified by the United Nations International Development Organization, of over 30%. None of the neighbors in the region is close to that. And if you look at the resource-heavy countries, they are all approximating 10%. What does this mean? This means the Eswatini economy continued to operate even during COVID. So, the idea here is to develop industrial parks. We've seen industrial parks as an opportunity to harness some of our industries. Currently, we export sugarcane in terms of the highest exports we've got, timber, and we are looking to develop a cotton industrial park as well. But why should we be importing furniture when Eswatini has all this timber? When you look at sugarcane, Eswatini, in terms of beneficiation, we should really be realizing that within our borders. Currently, the kingdom, when you look at innovation and the skills of people that we've got, we've been able to develop the first low GI sugar brand on the continent. It's called New Cane Sugar. We are the first on the continent, and this has been developed by Eswatini Sugar Association for sale in Africa and for export. And what this does, this low GI sugar, is it reduces or it attacks the glycemic response. You know, it attacks the sucrose element in sugar that we consume. So it's very good for people who have hypertension and diabetes. And that's just some of the opportunity that we see. So we are looking at developing industrial parks in the kingdom, and we believe that once we start developing these parks around sugar, around textiles, we will see a lot more processing, because agriculture is the backbone of our economy, and we want to see beneficiation in the kingdom. We estimate that the project cost for this would be in the region of $200 million for all 4 of the industrial parks that we're looking at. The project on industrial parks, apart from it being an employment opportunity, the region does not have food security. We currently are net importers for food. That on its own tells you the significant opportunity there is. And we have plenty available land in Eswatini. We have farms, you know, approximately 30,000 hectares of arable land is available for you to pursue agriculture projects. So we're quite excited about the opportunity on agri-industrial parks. So I've just spoken about the land size we have available on agriculture. There's an opportunity here, and we'll just speak to what some of the farms have available in different regions of the country. We have one of approximately 10,000 hectares with potential for maize, beans, hay, and other crops. Interestingly enough, notwithstanding the fact that we are a huge cattle producer, we import hay. So there's a huge opportunity to just come and supply Eswatini itself, but also countries in the region. So that is available for rental, for investors. We have another one as well in the northwest of the kingdom, where we have opportunities for maize, macadamia, and timber, and we have that available for rental as well. There are another 3 farms that we have available there. If you look at the diversity in crop and agriculture opportunity, we've got dairy, we've got livestock, avocados, we've got the potential for cattle ranching. We also have citrus, banana, cane, tomatoes. You can see that the land we're speaking of in Eswatini is arable. We have water available. We have a huge opportunity in agriculture that we believe you should be excited to come and speak to us about. Continuing the discussion then on the diversity we have in our farms, we have livestock available, and all of these range in different sizes, the farms. We have opportunity as well for maize, beans, cassava on another farm, macadamia, which of late has generated a lot of interest. I did mention that water is not a problem in Eswatini. We have great water sources. There's an opportunity as well to grow and add to the current timber volumes that we have in the kingdom. Again, maize, cotton. Cotton is a huge opportunity. We have a competitive advantage in textiles. The textiles we supply from Eswatini, apart from the quality, we've seen an interest in textile investors wanting to come and set up in the kingdom, just based on the incentives we have available for them. The last project I'll be speaking about is one that is in line with His Majesty's strategy on decentralization and taking job opportunities elsewhere into the country and not only in the commercial corridors. On the back of a dam that is being built at Mpakeni in Eswatini, we see an opportunity around infrastructure development, because as people move and develop closer to this dam and work on building it, there will need to be houses in the region, and we know that affordable housing is one sector that was resilient even during COVID and has continued to grow because of demand. So there's the dam we're speaking about, almost in the south of the kingdom, and we see the opportunity around farming projects, but today I'm speaking to you about the affordable housing project that we have available. And we have an ever-growing population, and this is a project that is very exciting. The African Development Bank has done a study, feasibility study, and it's at various stages now of implementation. This project, we believe in the next 12 months, it will have gone ahead. We're looking at utilizing energy, water, and resources in a sustainable manner. We're looking at using new forms of technology to be able to ensure that this project brings about a healthy population and doesn't pollute the region or harm the environment. And all our projects speak to SDG promotion. And there you have some of the benefits that would come through the SDGs in terms of generating income for the local community, import substitution and food security, as well as job creation and eco-friendly living, which is important for us. We would look at different funding models, whether it's build, own, operate, and transfer, whether it's a special purpose vehicle, or even grants, various forms of debt. We do have our finance minister here available to discuss funding with you. What we do know is that the private sector is the catalyst for growth. Governments cannot do this alone. And the UN agencies in the kingdom are actively encouraging the private sector to come in and participate, and they are willing to come to the party in terms of a collaboration as well with them to ensure that these become possible. The last slide is just around some of the investors we've been able to attract into the kingdom. The Hilton Hotel, this was voted in 2020 as being one of the most interesting aesthetical designs that have ever been designed for hotels in the group. And that was an external rating just around the Hilton coming and investing in Eswatini. We've got Sweden Tires, Air Liquide. We've got the Kellogg's group who've come into Eswatini, and they came in with a joint venture, Toleram from Singapore. And having been in the country and operated now for over a year, they are looking at expanding their operations in Eswatini. So these are international investors who've put their boots on the ground, have operated, and are willing to grow and expand their businesses in Eswatini. We have sugar producers like Ilovo, YKK, the Japanese company, AB InBev, the global beverage company, Coca-Cola, Mondelez, which used to be Cadbury, the Texray Group from Taiwan, banks like Standard Bank, Rhodes Food Group. We are really an economy that has been able to punch above its weight because of the ease of doing business in the kingdom, the incentives that we offer, the high literacy rate we have with our population, and the fact that it's easy to gain access to ministers and decision makers in the kingdom. And His Majesty takes a personal interest in investment projects that come to the kingdom. With that, I thank you.
Directors, Mr. Ujval Gaul, to also give his testimonial. Please take the floor, sir.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to present some of our positive experience of working in the kingdom. Distinguished guests, I'll be presenting on behalf of Infra International DMCC and our group companies that have been operating in various different sectors in the kingdom for the last 10 years. In the last 10 years, we've worked on the ICT industry, where we've been part of building the Royal Science and Technology Park. We've also worked on a lot of construction projects and interior contracting projects related to some of the landmark infrastructure that's been built, including the International Convention Center and the VVIP airport. In our experience, we've had a lot of positive learnings while we've been part of the industry there. First, being the country's commitment to quality. Whatever projects we've been engaged in, we've seen the commitment from all parties on delivering quality projects in timelines that have been set from the get-go. And this, as a business, is very advantageous because it allows us to be committed to doing good work and build a portfolio which is recognizable across the world in terms of the projects that we do deliver. The other aspect which the CEO and Niraj spoke about is the ease of doing business. Eswatini offers a very strong regulatory framework, and access to His Majesty and the ministries allows you to get decisions on your projects or on the obstacles that you're facing for allowing for good progress, which is very rare to see in the region. The other being the skilled local labor force, especially in the construction industry. Proximity to nations such as South Africa allow for you to develop projects at more effective costs, and also allow for easier skill transfer from the laborers that we do bring along from different regions across the world. The last being something that we do take for granted in the Middle East is English-speaking, safe, secure environment, which is not necessarily available within Africa, and being able to have that in Eswatini makes it very comfortable for companies from the region to relocate and feel like they're working in a similar environment that they've been used to whilst working in the Middle East. Overall, I do feel that the opportunity in Eswatini is amazing. It's at the cusp of a great economic growth phase, and we can see that in the last 3 or 4 years of economic growth that the country has seen. And there is a lot of opportunity for investments across various sectors. And we would like to thank His Majesty again for the opportunity he has given us to be able to contribute to the country, and we hope we can advocate for the country in the years to come as well. Thank you very much.
Just to again belabor the point that Eswatini is open for business, and if I could get a roving mic, I'll start with the Minister for Finance and.
Your Majesty, King Mswati III, our royal guests from Dubai, Bantu Benkosi, ministers, all invited guests. Good morning to you all. Good afternoon, rather, I suppose by now. I'm just going to touch on the government's, as the Minister of Finance, going to touch on the government's fiscal stability. It's something we've been working on, something we've been finding is quite lacking on the continent. And so we felt it's necessary to put that out there so that investors can understand that when investing in Eswatini, you're investing in a sustainable economy. Because I think a lot of a problem that we have on the continent is that one is looking for investment, but at the same time one's projecting that investment from almost a going into bankruptcy position as a government. And so our fiscal, what we refer to as fiscal deficit in governments, is the gap between the money that you spend and the money that you have. Is the gap between the two. Eswatini at some point was in double-digit space. Year before last, we brought it down to 7.5%. Last year, 6.5%. The year that we are in, 4.6%. And now the numbers have been finalized that next year we'll be on a 1.5% fiscal deficit. 1.5% fiscal deficit is very much speaking to the fact that even if you have a small bit of GDP growth, it means that your debt to GDP ratio remains the same. At the moment, our debt to GDP, as was touched on earlier, is about 40%, one of the lowest on the continent. And with us being on a sustainable path, it means we remain there. So it means that as a country, we're sustainable. It means as a country, we're not going into any kind of bankrupt space. It means that we should be able to provide a very good home for investments in country. At the moment, as a country, when it comes to external debt, we have only got concessional external debt, so we're not into high repayments of debt on our external debt front. We do obviously take commercial debt in our public state-owned entities, so there is opportunity for concessional debt, but at the same time commercial debt in our entities, which obviously as a government we handle off balance sheet. As a country, we've never defaulted on debt, not for a day. Every single loan that we have as a country, we've paid on the day that it needs to be paid, which is again, I think, not that common on the continent. We've never restricted Forex. We've always made sure we keep a 3-month import cover on Forex, and whenever Forex is needed in our economy, it's always been available, and we definitely plan to keep it that way, especially now that we're on a sustainable path. Our balance of reserves, what's also quite interesting about Eswatini, which once again is quite rare, our balance of reserves is more or less, obviously a change depending on a few factors, but it's more or less in line with our external debt. So our reserves, which obviously we keep in external currencies, is a similar amount to our external debt. So as long as we keep those two in balance, we feel we're also in very good, a very healthy space. One could theoretically wake up one morning and fund and settle all of our debt. We obviously won't be doing that because we need the reserves for the economy, but at the same time, a very rare space to be as a country in our space. At the same time, we have had a very strong history of respecting property rights. So in Eswatini, we've got it in our constitution, very deeply ingrained, and we respect property rights, and we've got a long history of very good standing in that space. Just seeing the presentation, I just want to just emphasize 2 points on the presentation that were made, because I was quite intricately involved with these, is number one, the mining opportunities. We've just done a study. This study wasn't an aeroplane flying high level with LiDAR technology like we find in most countries. This study was actually a helicopter with like a big magnet-looking thing flying very low over, doing a magnetic study on the properties of the soil. So we've got in-depth information on what's available, and it's only come out about 4 weeks ago. So it's really very new information, and I definitely believe, as a business person before as a Minister of Finance, I do believe there's wonderful opportunities there for investment, showing very clearly now where much higher deposits of gold are. We knew we had gold in a certain area and there were elements of it, but in very high concentrations in a few spots. I think good opportunities in that space. At the same time, we've had a kimberlite shaft of diamond production, which the surface has been mined. But as if one understands mining in kimberlite shaft is always more than one, because as it gets closer to surface it breaks up, and we have now identified the 4 other spots where the kimberlite shafts are. Definitely also we feel good opportunities there. The other one I just want to touch on in closing is the fact that the game reserve that we are busy putting in place, as has been mentioned, His Majesty has consolidated a whole lot of parks that have been existingly there. But because the parks have been small, we up until now haven't had free roaming predators kind of feeding themselves and growing. So we're going into new space, and from that point of view, we've got beautiful game parks in Eswatini currently, but at the moment, predators have been restricted to free roaming and feeding themselves. And we'll definitely be opening up windows for private sector villas inside of that game farm. So if there's possible interest from the private sector point of view to be able to build villas, obviously have full access to the park and certain perks that go with it, that'll be part of that package that we'll be offering. Thank you very much. Bye it.
Your Majesty, Your Royal Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Commerce Minister likes to do this to us. Perhaps he gave me 2 minutes, so I'll make it 2 minutes. Steve Biko once said, "It is better to die for an idea that will live, excuse me, than to live for an idea that will die." And so, Your Majesty, from the ICT department, we would like to advocate for so many things, but the main thing we would like is to invite the UAE to participate in building our economy through science, technology, engineering, and mathematics literacy. According to the World Economic Forum, 85 million jobs will be lost by the year 2025. And this is due to automation and it is due to COVID, which means that currently 30% of jobs are being performed by technology and 70% performed by humans. That ratio is set to shift to 50-50 in 3 years, which means in about 10 years' time, there will be no need for humans. There are some studies like doctors and nurses where you cannot replace humans. You cannot replace human touch. You cannot replace empathy. Robots can't do that. But in a few years' time, with the mining industry, it will be safer and more cost-effective to use technology. And so with machine learning and artificial intelligence, it will be important for us to shift our mindset as governments to make our educational system more creative than academic. And so we would invite you to come in that regard. And just to highlight that there is a facility founded by His Majesty, referred to previously as the Royal Science and Technology Park. And that park is responsible for driving economic growth and offering the best incentives to investors. You have a tax holiday for 20 years, you pay no tax, and thereafter you pay 5%. There's so many incentives there. So you have a business incubation part where you have startup technology incentives there as well, and a national data center where you can house any information, as well as a call center where you can offshore your telecoms businesses or whatsoever to Eswatini, and also set up your IT companies there. And about to be complete is also a one-stop shop where we'll be rolling out electronic government. And electronic government, as you know, are interoperable services that work with unified devices so that every ministry in government is connected and all the processes of service delivery happen smoothly. I would like to say more, but just come to Eswatini, it's very beautiful. For the ICT sector, you have the movie production incentives as well. The UAE is participating in Hollywood and in other places, but Africa is a jewel, Eswatini in particular, for our culture and for our ICT systems and infrastructure services, which are excellent and on point. You have internet in about 92% of the country and a smart mobile penetration of 131%, which means you have 1.3 gadgets per individual in Eswatini, so even that communication sector can be widened for broadband access, etc. And from His Majesty, we also have certain areas now that have free Wi-Fi, and so if you can come up and set up in Eswatini, you're very welcome, and you have our support from the ministry.
Your Royal Highnesses, ministers, member, the ambassador here to UAE, captains, CEOs and captains of industries, ladies and gentlemen, Sinfusela Kulu, Begune. It is a great pleasure for me to be here in Dubai, where we have come to share with you the investment opportunities available in the Kingdom of Eswatini. We're grateful for the warm hospitality accorded to us during this visit, and sincerely hope that we can reciprocate this gesture when you come to our beautiful kingdom. This forum provides a unique opportunity for us to gather with business people from Dubai and or from Emirate and apprise them of the business opportunities we have as a country. You've heard from our team regarding the environment for doing business in Eswatini, which we strongly believe will inspire you to explore the unique opportunities available in the kingdom. Over the past few years, Eswatini has been trying to create linkages with the Emirate market. The Eswatini Tourism Authority and Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority have taken action on multiple fronts to attract tourists and investors to the kingdom. We also had the Eswatini Civil Aviation and the Royal Science and Technology Park participate with ETA and IPA at the Dubai Expo 2020. During the Dubai Expo 2020, Eswatini was able to host 2 business seminars, and we look forward to building on the gains made during this initiative. In order to increase opportunities in this strategic market, our ministries of tourism, commerce, and trade have followed up on inquiries and linkages made. These efforts have begun to bear fruit with the impressive growth in the overall trade relationship. In 2020, the Middle East was the 4th largest source of imports at value of 655 emalangeni to Eswatini, which the UAE comprised approximately 140 million emalangeni of mainly petroleum, but also essential oils, chocolates, and sugar confectionery. The UAE has been our largest export market in the Middle East, comprising mainly of fresh fruits, scrap metal, and handcraft products. Trade, however, remains very much commodity-based and skewed in favor of UAE. We need to diversify the products and increase the volume of trade between our 2 countries, and we call for priority to be given to changing the trade balance to be more favorable for Eswatini. It is important as we strive for a mutual beneficial trading relationship to amplify cooperation in value-added sectors such as agriculture, processing, infrastructure services, technology, and skills transfer. We recently completed an exercise using high-resolution airborne geophysical data to establish the existence of mineral resource beyond what we know we have had over the years. The exercise identified mineral deposits of gold, diamond, iron ore, and copper, nickel, platinum group elements in the northwest part of the country. This exciting development on the mining front bodes well for the recovery of our country's economic performance following the negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Looking at our manufacturing sector, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization 2021 data confirms that Eswatini has outperformed its regional counterparts by achieving the highest share of manufacturing value added of 30.5%. The closest to Eswatini was 18.5%, and the balance of countries in the region was achieved at below 15%. These impressive statistics confirm that our strategy to accelerate industrialization is bearing fruit. Agriculture is the backbone of Eswatini economy, and we have arable land of approximately 30,000 hectares available for farming projects. Your presence today is a great demonstration of confidence in the Eswatini economy and in the country as an attracting destination for significant investment. Eswatini is a country with a diverse economy, a sophisticated and well-regulated financial sector, and several business opportunities in transport, telecommunications, and energy infrastructure, to mention but a few. The kingdom is one of the few remaining countries in the world with a rich cultural and historical heritage. When this is coupled with the friendliness of our people and the stunning scenery of mountains, valleys, and wildlife preserves, it ensures that the experience of tourists is unforgettable. Our government is working hard to create a dynamic and enabling business environment that will promote greater productivity investment in our economy. It is within this context that we have embarked on this visit to Emirates to convey the message that Eswatini is open for business. We invite you to visit Eswatini to see for yourself the opportunities the country has, some of which are outlined in the post-COVID-19 economic reconstruction strategy plan that was developed by the government. As part of the investment drive, we are intensifying efforts to improve the business environment. We have put in place an attractive package of incentives facilitated by IPA, a government entity that was established to assist potential investors in identifying opportunities and facilitating a seamless investment process. We have officials from different government ministries present here today who are available to address any questions you may have and assist in taking these decisions forward. We have 2 special economic zones that have been designed or that have been designated in different parts of the country, each with their own advantages and focus. Companies that invest in these zones benefit from 20 years of tax-free status and thereafter a reduced corporate tax rate. The support measures that Eswatini offers in the economic zones are highly competitive. Innovation is a key focus across our priority areas of ICT, education, agriculture, mining, energy, manufacturing, agro-processing, as well as tourism in our National Development Plan, the strategic roadmap. The Royal Science and Technology Park is a multiple sectoral high-tech park housing a national data center which allows a plug and operate model for investors operating from special economic zones. In addition to the numerous investment opportunities in Eswatini, the African continental is equally endowed with the initiatives that provide some of the highest returns on investment globally. The establishment of the African Continental Free Trade Area has brought a new promise for active trade in our country, as it offers investors a market of over 1 billion people and a combo GDP of $2 trillion US. Our location inspired us to establish Eswatini as a production hub in the region in order to take advantage of the ever-intensive strategic markets for our goods in the strategic blocks in which we are actively part of. As a peaceful country with one of the highest literacy rates on the African continent, Eswatini provides an ideal gateway into this vast continental market. Let me conclude by assuring you that the Kingdom of Eswatini remains committed to creating a business environment that is conducive towards supporting trade and investment, which will translate into economic gains for all our people. Let me once again urge Emirates investors to consider the Kingdom of Eswatini as an investment destination. By establishing your business, you would have chosen a country that can be a hub for Emirates business to penetrate the African continent. We are hopeful that after the seminar, the business community, private sector companies, and multinational investors presented here in Dubai will commit to investing in Eswatini's economy. We look forward to welcoming you to Eswatini and seeing for yourself the great opportunities that Eswatini has to offer. This would mark the beginning of future and further engagements, as well as networking on investment opportunities. Therefore, we say to you today that Eswatini is open for business. May the magnificent God bless us all. I thank you.
Masotla mahle sibonge kuhlalisana nani sisanilethela bukhome konke lobe kwenteka kulona mhlangano lapha eDubai even le United Arab Emirates lapho khona imbubo emhlaba bekade ihlangane nabo bosomabhizinisi bakuleli lidolobha. Nilebonge silenhleke sitawuchubeka sinilethele yonke imisebenzi yayo imbubo emhlaba isachubeka nalolu hambo lwayo. Nisale kahle siphinde futhi sibonane ngalinye ilanga ngekuvuma kwakhe umdali.
Wena ngishoba lenkuzi kangwani ingani limnyama lesabeka. Wena Mswati lo ingoni emngongakani ngani ngane lo wavusa kwetfuka bamagagula kadhokolwa ku. Labate bahlala buhlala uhlalo. Kwaye kwetfuka bakagamane bakamnisi. Nangunamanjolo umangelo no phakathi. Layelala langakhawula itati nguzamqolo. Noma ushumali naye nabatalo. Yathi liyawufuna kwangitshela ukuthi kuba ine malangeni. Jubala kusathalekisa ingilande esikolweni. Unelefa wena Mswati wase uba indlaluselwa. Wase uyayibamba impeniseli. Ngisho la kwasana ngayo mkhwase gijima. Ubele abhodla ngesha kwethlwandle kwatamatama livela Mswati. Timbi bataphuma kusakala lathi ngwetacela emuzini. Lapha emdzimba tati bona ingonyama ehlane ehlula umbutho. Wena ngemkhombo welanga kangwani ngani ilanga laphuma etsheni lapha kangosikati. Tingabi sathe khane safeni. Tagijima tawutekela bonini emakhaya. Inani banele baphuma bahlolwa ngetikhala temaguma. Makho setive ngonyana lemunya lapho setibuya imbunga. Umvemvakisi waselusaseni awuhlali phaswe sabathi intuli sithole emhlophe ngeuhlula emanga emadodza mwangeli usundu wekushe kwekuphephuka ematala wena ke msawa hilika hilulela ekhane safeni wena ke Mswati ngekubusa ubuyelele wena wabhuza lisemkhoneni lisetandleni uthuma kwakho Mswati kunyakathi sewumhlaba ngane ingani kwathi kwabhoda esibahlande kulakamlumbi ingani kwathi mashala kansa aphuma moyitela nomashikizela kangwane nganashiye umbutho ukuhlakula inani lengwena lapha esitheni kulanqabane wayeso ufane emhlambi emagwalagwala wena Mswati ngani usulwa nenvoza esihlahleni kufa konvoza kumtamo wona lo fluzu uthi kangwane emhlabeni nangengqingo njengenkomo isawusengwa wona sibaba sakuyasa kangwane ngani umdumo onjengezulu emambala Mswati yababa mhlohlo babela izingomo sakho kwakho ngoba uyasibona nangemkhondo kangwane ngane ziyandinda ngisho kuloluphondo lwengongoni kangwane esiqopholoti wona Mswati lo gabe abantu kangwane ngani bonjengamathanga waqhakaza ke Mswati omnyama kulabaluthuli waba njengekuvuma kwenqwala uyimbuku ingonyama muhle ematholo ezinyathi ayethe wona phakathi khula mlisa khula nzanzane live bakwesabe betipe